Hey, how are you all? I'm so glad to be here. I just want to say I am honored to be here with Tracy Oliver and Tim Story. We go way back in film just because I've just been watching everything that you've all done from Barbershop, Harlem, The Littles. I just love everything you're doing. I had a chance to watch the movie last night, and I first want to congratulate you on an amazing film.
Thank
Great.
you.
I
Thank
was
you.
it was amazing. Me and my family watched it.
Yay.
I will say one thing, it was very black.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes. Agreed.
Very black. It encapsulated everything that we want to say as black people. What you think you'll do in a horror movie, what you say you'll do. It was just so funny, and I love how you integrated that horror and that comedy together. Can you tell me what inspired you and motivated you to bring the community to the film?
Yeah. I think when you get an opportunity, and this was a really unique opportunity, I'll say this. I always write black characters, and really it's because I'm trying to write about my own experiences and things that I feel passionate about and connected to. But this one in particular, I've never gotten an opportunity to totally just glean in and go there and not have it like filtered out or washed out or made to be a little more general or mainstream or palatable for like a larger audience. I kept waiting for that experience because I was like, this is like the dream project because I get to write and do what I want, and it's so specific and niche in certain ways and authentic. And luckily, Tim protected that vision, so I never had to change it. And Dwayne and I were just really grateful because it's hard sometimes when you're writing something for a particular audience and you have to change it to acknowledge the white gaze or the white lens, and we just didn't do that here. And then surprisingly, when we went to TIFF and it was a mostly white audience, they loved it, so it didn't matter. So we got to get the black audience who feels seen and appreciated, but also white people are going to love it and enjoy it too because we watched people howling that didn't grow up like us or look like us. So it was a really great experience to see that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think funny just translates. If it's
Mm-hmm.
funny, it's funny
We
and
agree.
resonates with
Exactly.
so your comedic approach is one I can resonate with. I have a similar comedic tone. Is there a reason that you chose this type of comedy versus a parody or any other type of comedy?
Well, one of the things that Tracy and Dwayne wrote in the script is they always made sure the stakes were real, and I think that's what this the tonal quality of this kind of works for us. We just wanted to also make sure that when they are being chased by, I don't want to give too much away, that it's real and you feel that they're in danger, and but because that environment is real, then we can have a lot more fun on top of that. And I think sometimes I'd like to say that we had a formula for doing it, but what's been great about this experience is just kind of following our instincts, and just when it was funny to us, we went there. And sometimes we might have to make it shorter than we might want, or this and that, because we want to make sure the scary moment after it plays better. But we just kind of followed what it is was enjoyable to us, and thus far we found that the audience are kind of having a good time with it.
Well, I can agree. The humor was executed so successfully, and I want to say the violence was habitually endearing, if that makes sense.
Okay,
Wow.
we like
I
that.
love
Okay.
that.
And so I could definitely relate to all the characters. So let's discuss the cast selection. I found that the characters represented a diverse personalities of individuals that I could find in my own community. Like I love Shanika and Allison. How did you decide on featuring these characters? Can you walk me through the decision making process?
Wow. Well, I mean, it started with the great thing about it is Tracy and Dwayne put characters on the page that were just so specific and just kind of clever. Just it just kind of covered the whole thing of what we see in the black community. And then what was great about this process once again is we could just find actors that were best for the roles, and that's what I think we ended up with. We found actors not only talented in terms of their chops, their acting chops, but also could bring something that was personal to the characters that Tracy and Dwayne wrote. and it just made it. When we talk about authenticity, it allowed us to have that throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, I could definitely relate. I felt like these were my friends, like each and
Hmm.
every character. So there's a running joke in the industry about, black folks traditionally dying first in every movie. And I love how you poke fun at this notion. Since the characters are black and we as viewers are left to wonder who will die first, what was the underlining message you were trying to convey in playing this stereotype?
Um, I don't know if we went into it with the message, but I think what I really loved about Dwayne Short that I hadn't seen in a lot of horror movies was that we were the stars of like that short in this movie. We're not folded into a white person's narrative. Like a lot of horror movies and just movies in general would have the stereotype of like the black best friend, and that person didn't have like a fully realized character or fully realized arc or three dimensions. And in this, you get to know them as people, and they are the stars of it, and the story is centered on them. And so it's just interesting when it's all black people. What do you do with that? Who does die first? But I just thought it was interesting to kind of center us in our own horror story and see how we behave and how it's different from the white characters that we're used to.
I really like that about that because I was even watching like who is going to die first? Is
Right.
it finality? What like what
Yeah.
who's gonna get killed, right? So speaking of comedy, you guys are working with Jay Farrow, and I actually love him as a comedian. Was there any moments where it was just pure improvisation in the movie with him?
Well, yeah, Jay always gives you little things that he's always going to throw out little stuff. And there's we couldn't put everything in there, but there's so many other magical tidbits that he gave us throughout the process we were working with him. Jay's always been that way. I think once again we were lucky with all of our characters, even though not all of them comedians, they just got the material. And Jay in particular would just kind of throw out the stuff. But Jermaine Fowler, like all of these guys just kind of gave us stuff that we really couldn't use everything just because the movie be 3 hours long. But we had a great time.
Watch it. We would watch
Yeah,
it.
it would just keep going on. But they gave us a lot of great magic.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So please tell us more about your decision to call it the Blackening. Because when I heard it, it was so many things going through my head. I'm like, are they getting baptized? Are these black? What is going on? So tell us more about the name selection.
Honestly, that was something that Dwayne had come up with for his original short. And I'll be honest, I thought it was going to change at some point. And like with almost everything else with the movie, we just kept it. But when we were talking about it, I asked him and I was like, what was the kind of motivation behind it? And he was like, I don't know. I just felt like an ominous thing and also black at the same time. And he was like, the blackening. It just sounds like something bad is happening. And he was like, we'll figure it out and change it later. And then now we love it. Yeah.
Well, it's an exceptional titling, so I absolutely love it. My next question is um, my two favorite genres of movies is comedy and horror. What made you intertwine the two?
Oh, I guess it goes back to Dwayne and Tracy and just kind of giving this I'd like to call it a perfect script. I mean, you really read it and just as much fun as you had watching it, that's what I felt when I first read it. And I think we I've been looking for a movie to do kind of in the horror space, but you're also looking something that that speaks to me. And so, not having a lot of examples of horror comedies out there that there's just not that many. I think Tracy and Dwayne just kind of found something that was brilliant, starting with Dwayne's short. They just kind of took it to a space. Tracy speaks a lot about how she had to kind of with Dwayne stretch that into a 90 minutes or more, and it's not the easiest thing to do. But I think they just kind of willed a blueprint that allowed me to come in and kind of do a little something with it and kind of make it work.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would think when it comes to my vibrant brilliance, it was very brilliant. The writing I could see is very strategic, just absolutely amazing. So throughout the movie, there are basically several messages that stood out. I'm a heart attack and stroke survivor, and there's a
Oh.
specific point where you're mentioning diabetes, if that's not giving too much,
Mhm.
but these messages that you're saying you're bringing along the movie, um, why was that significant to incorporate?
The messages throughout.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, we just wanted it to feel very specific and feel like it wasn't safe, if that makes sense. I think if there's a joke or something that we've heard before, we didn't want to do it. We wanted to kind of play out those like really, really specific black stuff that you would think, oh, they're going to sanitize this or get rid of it. And we just kind of kept all of those things. But we really wanted to be able to go there. And sometimes it's hard with comedy because you're like, what's the line? And are we too niche or too specific or going, too far into something? But I think that's also what makes this unique and what the non-believers, because we talked to someone yesterday who was like, I thought this was going to be like a black Twitter movie and not what you know I wanted it to be, and she was pleasantly surprised. But I think the reason why she was surprised is because we did care about what we were writing about, and we wanted it to feel fresh and surprising and authentic. We didn't want it to feel like everything you've seen before and generic. So I think people are pleasantly surprised that it goes there in certain ways.